Hello and welcome to Variety with Vishwam, and we are here with an amazing journey of an amazing entrepreneur and also a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Nadeem Jafri. What's the scale of operations of current Hearty Mart?
Hearty Mart Horeca, Hearty Mart Enterprise Private Limited is a company which is close to 50 CR INR, 50 CR annual turnover. वो कोई दरवाजा खुला नहीं था, यही दरवाजा खुला दिख रहा था.
Who is your inspiration? Which entrepreneur, which brand is your inspiration?
Steve Jobs for coming up with integration model. Apple is the only company which has its own iOS software. उसका हार्डवेयर है, उसी का I always quote, उसी का म्यूजिक था, उसी के स्टोर्स थे. Entrepreneurship has been glorified a lot, which is not the case. Entrepreneurship is striving. It is a struggle, but once you pass through that test, you will achieve newer heights and you would be at peace with yourself. So continue doing what best you can do.
Someone who didn't have an easy start, but he made sure that it's possible. So as lot of success stories which we see where people come from different backgrounds, they do not really belong to entrepreneurship, but they come, make it happen, shape it by whichever way it is possible. But one thing is for sure, entrepreneurship is not an easy story. It might look very glamorous from outside. You might see that people leading 100 people's organization, 200 people organization, they're coming out of their swanky cars, but you don't know the kind of toil they go in. So we'll not take much of time and we'll go in the conversation. Thank you, Nadeem bhai, and good to see you.
Thank you, Vishwam, and first of all, thank you for inviting me for this amazing podcast series.
You're always welcome, sir. We have been talking about it and it's like the right time should happen, and this is after Diwali. We are starting our work and this is our first podcast shooting after Diwali break. So we are very excited, and with this new studio setup where we are bringing in a lot of content, we are trying to put in a lot of stories in the screen of people. But what we want to do is purposeful and meaningful content is what Varietyverse and Variety with Vishwam is focused on. So we'll come up with more content, and this is just the beginning of the conversation, and there will be a lot of content, and we hope to see you again and again.
Sure.
Inspire us, and guide our viewers if they want to start their venture, how to go about it.
Yeah.
So I would like to share about Nadeem bhai. Nadeem bhai has a very vivid background from media and advertising industry, coming from he's done his MBA and then got into advertising media, worked with Times of India, Dainik Bhaskar, Grey Worldwide, and then eventually starting his journey as an entrepreneur. And it has been over 2 decades of consistent work and being inspired. And also he's a great educator. And as we just had a conversation with one of our friends, he said that when he was doing his MBA, his case study was an inspiration for them. So
Thank you once again.
you're always welcome, Nadeem bhai. Nadeem bhai, it has been 21 years since you started your entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
So I would just want to ask that was this journey an easy journey for you?
I would say no, not at all. Actually, when I started Hearty Mart in the year 2004, I would say it was a wrong foot put forward, because I chose an area during that time. It was not considered good for business. It was not business viable area. There were lots of negativity attached with the area. So right from finding right vendors who can give us, who can set up our business there, to the right suppliers who can give us the right inventory, everything was a challenge there. And apart from this, to lure the customer to your store in an area which did not have any supermarket culture was again a challenge. So I would say that but every challenge teaches you a lot. So
Right.
this unexplored area and this experience taught us a lot. I mean, I think within one and a half year of our starting of Hearty Mart, we learned a lot. We did many things to lure our customers at the store. Whatever I did, whatever I learned in my advertising and media days, I tried implementing that at my store, right from the positioning of the supermarket, which I started by it was positioned as on a convenience platform rather than pricing. सबसे खास घर के पास, because we were going to an area which was unexplored. So it was the ideal store in your neighborhood was the idea.
Right.
So yes, I would say it was very challenging, but very learning. We learned a lot while we started the store there.
Right. Now coming to this, your concept was starting a convenience store in an area where it was never thought of. So it was an uncharted territory. People had not done that in past. It was very difficult for a convenience store to open up in such area. So in a way, it gave you a hint that that's possible in your initial years. I'm sure there would be some reasons which it really gave you some indications that it's possible.
Right from when we were doing the research and trying to figure out the location, Vishala was very promising location because post 2002 disturbances, it had new people coming there. A new area was getting developed.
Right.
So, and I was trying to get into a convenience store, which was mainly food grocery, spices store. So I knew that everyone needs this product. Every morning you want to brush your teeth. Every afternoon you want to have your lunch. So there was nothing like कि यहाँ पर need होगा कि नहीं, वो करने का जरूरत नहीं था. We just wanted to find an ideal location and go into that.
Right.
And plus, as you said, that the area did not have anyone there, and so the positive side of that was that I looked at it more as an opportunity than a challenge, because I thought it will give me a first mover advantage. When the other areas were dotted with supermarkets, and Johapura, Vishala, which had more than 4.5 lakhs people in the stretch of 3 to 4 kilometers, if there is not a single supermarket, and if I enter, I am going to give them a new experience and I am going to have a first mover advantage. So
right.
that thought gave me encouragement to get into
right. Of course, there was a challenge that it was a market where there were only limited mediums which you could promote with, and newspaper advertising or any other form of advertising was next to impossible for a startup compared to today's time, where digital advertising is possible to promote a small venture.
2003, we started promoting our location and store. I think at the end of 2003. 2004, February, we started. Now, this was the time when I would say not a single social media platform was there. Orkut came in 2007. Facebook in 2009 or 10, whatever. So no social media, not even e-commerce. Internet penetration was also not there, not even WhatsApp. So we took the route of below the line communication, where we had a leaflet, we had a radio jingle, but not on the radio, because the radio would have been a spillover, and Radio Mirchi was there. There was only one FM studio then, and it was very costly. And so we created a jingle. Because of my background in advertising, I knew the studio really well. So we created a jingle. My copywriter of Grey helped me in creating a jingle. Then during that time, there was CDs. So 36, I still remember the number, 36 time in a loop that jingle was made to run. An auto rickshaw was there. Auto rickshaw was branded by signages of Hearty Mart coming soon, Hearty Mart coming soon. And there was a leaflet which had a perforated coupon. So what we did, we identified around 14 colonies in the vicinity of, say, half a kilometer to 1 kilometer of our store location. There we had this auto rickshaw. They would go there in each colony, and somebody, this jingle was run, and somebody would stop them. They would give that perforated sheet. वो ये क्या है? तो उनको शीट देते थे और उनको बोलते थे ये सुपरमार्केट आपके एरिया में आ रहा है, and you take the sheet and on the day one you will get a discount.
Right.
And that is how we promoted. So
right.
This was done 14 days prior to the launch and 1 week after the launch. So
Right.
21 days we did this campaign.
Right. So this actually gave you, and you could really take a leap in advertising because of your media experience. If you were starting a startup, because of your advertising and media experience, you were able to do your positioning in the right way. You were able to form the brand in the right way, which usually a lot of startups fail in today's time.
I agree with you, because advertising made me think more on branding than a product.
Right.
Because I knew if I do everything right, product is going to get created. But whether this product has all the branding requirement attached, that I was not sure. So अगर मैं supermarket start कर देता and फिर if I wouldn't know how to promote it, because supermarkets, there are two things which lure a customer to a supermarket. So that's why positioning is always on pricing. Number one, कि price सबसे सस्ता, इससे सस्ता, दही नहीं, whatever. I mean, everybody talks about price. The other thing which people rarely talk is convenience. So if I have to travel to 3 kilometers for say 5% discount, why would I do that rather than go to a neighborhood store which might not give me 5% discount but which has more range to offer?
Absolutely.
Right. So our idea was, and then I had not thought of coming up with a franchisee model or
Right.
scaling up on that scale. So I thought that positioning of सबसे खास घर के पास would really work.
Right.
And red color का हमने उसका house color दिया था, because we wanted to welcome everyone. We wanted to create a positive image, a positive vibe in an area which was otherwise considered very negative.
Right.
Right. So we wanted to nullify whatever the macro environment had offered to us in terms of area image. So red color ka theme was used. All this was possible because I had that advertising background, because I had worked on brands while working with Grey.
But it could also give you a very simple clarity of communication, because when you bring in a startup, when you have your startup coming in, and if you do a lot of changes, it becomes very difficult for the customer or the audience to really understand the brand well. And your effort of creating one messaging and then changing to other thing, because this is a phenomena कि भाई ये नहीं चल रहा है तो चलो ये करते हैं, ये नहीं चल रहा है तो ये करते हैं, but it is not strategically devised कि यही चलना है. This is the perfect communication and it has to run. Of course, the pivot and communication changes will happen. At the same point of time, branding and brand communication is one of the important pillars of starting any startup.
True.
As important is the idea, it is equally important to communicate that idea
in the right form.
In the right way, in the right form. So people think that once we become a very big brand, then we will advertise. So your need at the maximum is when you start. Then it reduces with impact. Yes, when you are at the scale, you will need tools of advertising. But if there is no clarity, it will really not help.
True.
So what's your message? If there is a small startup with a very limited budget, then how should they design their brand communication?
So first of all, what most of the startup fail to understand is that they are so much engrossed in creating their product and to make their product right, that by the time that product is ready, they don't know where to market it.
Right.
So then they try to devise a go-to-market strategy. I think go-to-market strategy should be a design in your mind when you are working on the concept of your when even proof of concept is not ready. You should know where would you market this product. So for that, number one, you should know what is your TG, and I think more important than that, you should know your competition. Because if you have a competition has done 10 things. Competition has communicated, competition has a supply chain, competition has a right TG. So if you know that this is my competition, what you need to do is try to understand the communication, try to understand the supply chain, the chain channel, and the pricing strategy, all the 4 P's, and devise your strategy. And devise your strategy when your product is still a concept.
Right.
And you will say, that's for an example, if I want to launch a bakery, I would say that I have enough strength within me, with all my resources, I can try to create a bakery which might be as good as, say, any say TGB or Kabhi. Alright, so if I have identified these 2 brands as my competition, I'll try to go there, do the research, try to understand their pricing, their communication, their promotion, and devise everything on my own. So when I launch, it would be at par with them.
Right.
So you know your TG, your competition, and their strategy well. You can better them, in fact.
Right. Now I would want to go a very different segment from this. So branding and advertising is very important. Your brand creation and brand promotions are equally important. I would want to sum up at this stage. And more and more people at the initial basis, you need to make sure, don't be in hurry to make your logo, get it done. What happens is sometimes you don't have the budget. But if even there were old days, lot of brands used to bring in lot of creative ideas, but they had only simply written. So for an example, initially when there were no designers, no high-end graphics, people were very consistent with their branding. So everything had a very unique signature. So if you remember Bajaj, so Bajaj is still Bajaj. Lifebuoy is just a typo. Bajaj is also a typo, and then identity has been created. So even if it does, by writing it in a particular format, if it works, it's enough, I would say. But you need to be very careful in terms of designing everything around and picking the right colors. Now everything is available. Now Canva and everything is available. But a better research thing is very important.
So
now we would want to go on that area of when you started this. So you didn't have a background of family business or something like that. How did it really came to you?
So my advertising career, I felt, was not going anywhere because I was reluctant to go outside Ahmedabad. I wanted to stay in Ahmedabad, within the city.
Right.
And so whenever I used to go to Bombay, and I would see that my colleagues in Bombay who were 5, 6 years, 7 years younger to me, but at the same level. So I used to feel very odd. I mean, I used to feel that I have not done anything in life in that case. So वो एक feeling था जिसमें मुझे ऐसा था कि मुझे अब कुछ करना है. I need to do something different. Right, and 2002 I was in Bombay. I saw first Big Bazaar there.
Okay.
So this was in Phoenix Mill Compound Bank opposite our office.
Right.
So जब भी मैं free होता था, I would go to Big Bazaar, and there was something I will not say, I cannot pinpoint what it was, but something it felt within me that मुझे ऐसा कुछ करना चाहिए, you know.
Right.
Within my capacity, I should do something here. With these thoughts, I came to Ahmedabad, and then I started looking for space and all. Now, there is a community which is they have a retail. I mean, they have a background of restaurants in cities, and they are farmers in villages. So there are two extremes. Now, this community is very enterprising community, and we have a social, spiritual connect with this community. So I thought that if I bring them on board with my venture, with my idea, with my exposure of doing white collar jobs and branding and all, and their strength of understanding the ground reality of products, I can do wonders with my venture. So I onboarded them. My first employee came from that community.
Which community?
It is called Chilia community. They have restaurants in cities, and they are farmers in villages. So they have food grocery. They understand really well.
Right.
Right. So domain expertise उनके पास था. So marketing expertise perhaps मेरे पास था. You know, so हमने उनको भी onboard कर दिया. And my first employee was from the community. He started, and so after 6 months, I gave the store to him, and I said, "You run on your own." So that is how it started. You know, 2004 August May, Sabir Bhai, my first employee, was virtually running the store on his own.
Right.
And I was just guiding him. So I would say yes. When I felt that my professional career is not moving ahead, and I need some a change, I started looking at entrepreneurship as the option. So I would say I was forced to think entrepreneurship.
Right.
Then passion came. Initially it was वो कोई दरवाजा खुला नहीं था, यही दरवाजा खुला दिख रहा था, something like that.
So you thought that advertising is not moving in the right way, so maybe if you're basically inclined towards the idea more than giving up advertising. So you maybe it's like a founder's bias.
And then I brought that advertising the strength to my business,
Right.
So I never let it go. जो मैंने सीखा था एडवर्टाइजिंग का वही मैंने अपने बिजनेस में डाल दिया. राइट फ्रॉम उसका ब्रांडिंग से लेकर कम्युनिकेशन से लेकर एवरीवेयर, सो आई टुक एडवर्टाइजिंग टू माय बिजनेस.
That's a great thing you used advertising, but this is one of the foremost pillar. Communication is one of the foremost pillar for scaling up a brand, and of course their product, service, deliverables is always there. Now, sir, coming to this, where you involved the community and you brought them to business. So again a question, again we're talking about another hurdle which people face when they start up, when they are not from the family business. So when they are not from so we are going to talk about another area which is about the resistance which we face as startups or entrepreneurs. We face that when we start a business and when we don't have a family business running and where we have to start, कि आपको ये experience नहीं है, आप नहीं कर पाओगे, ये सारे चीजें, did it really also bother you?
Starting में yes, it did, because I was entering a business which was a food grocery business, not an advertising communication business. So first of all, my domain was not there. I was trying to maneuver the domain by onboarding them to my startup. So yes, I did not know much about that, but because of advertising background, because of working with brands, I had the vision. I knew how I can take my business to a next level. So that gave me confidence. And it took us 5 years in Johapura to see the turnaround. For 5 years, we struggled a lot. From 2004 to 2009, I never saw the positive side of a balance sheet there. During that time, I would say that somehow that passion came within me कि मुझे इस बिजनेस को जाने नहीं देना है, मुझे ये करना ही है. एक वो था, वो that gave me lots of resilience. Plus, I started exploring. In case नहीं होता कुछ, then what? Because for a founder, that is really important. So I made up my mind that if this business is not going to, one more year, एक और साल ऐसे करके 5 साल कर दिए. फिर 5th ईयर के बाद आई थॉट दैट अब नहीं होगा फिर क्या, राइट? तो अब नहीं होगा फिर क्या, मैं बाय दैट टाइम 2006 onwards I started teaching. So I went to GLS Center of Management Excellence. I taught advertising marketing there. I went to Proton Business School. Then I taught advertising marketing and retail there. So I started teaching all B schools, all these small time B schools when they were there then. And I realized that I was a very good tutor because I was a very popular tutor. Students would come to me, they would discuss everything, and I say from there, perhaps my characteristics of mentoring started. I started thinking that I can be a mentor. Number one, I can be a tutor. So अगर business नहीं चलेगा, एक और साल नहीं चलेगा, so I might pursue PhD, and I would become a professor somewhere because I knew that strength was there. Right? So that gave me lots and lots of peace to my mind. कि कुछ नहीं होगा because I had a family to feed. So और business ही नहीं कर पाएंगे और advertising में आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे तो फिर क्या, So plus my first job was in sales, and I was within 3 months I was asked to leave. So I was not a good salesman as well.
Right.
So I saw that slowly every window was getting closed. So if God forbid entrepreneurship will be out, then perhaps I would go in academics.
Right. Now again a question where how would you handle, or now how would you guide people to handle situations where the business is not going as desired? People can see it. At least people in the family can see it. In outside world, you can make the communication the way you want. Of course, they can also guess it well. ये भी struggle ही हो रहा है. ये ठीक चल रहा है पर struggle है. तो वो देख के पता लग ही जाता है. And people are smart enough and people understand that well. So, what do you say to yourself? That's the first thing. And what would you say to your inner circle, who is behind you, who is dependent on you, rather not behind you, who is dependent on you in a way?
I feel that every entrepreneur has a gut feeling, which that you need to pick up. It's a very strong gut feeling. वो क्या होता है कि एक समय ऐसा आता है, there is a point where you feel अब ये नहीं चलेगा. So till that time you get that feeling that now this is not going to work. You should persist, and you should persist. Then now that is one thing. Second thing, you need to first also check whether every mark has been ticked. I mean, you have ticked every box. For an example, whether ये करने से out of pocket expense कितना हो रहा है, मेरा personal sustenance को issue तो नहीं हो रहा, मेरे family को I can feed and give a decent lifestyle. If everything is yes, you persist the idea, because otherwise that idea is not hurting you personally, right? So you go and persist with the idea. If it starts hurting your personal space, you stop it. Number one, right? Number two, okay, you अगर नहीं करता तो you keep on going. पर कब तक? This is where that feeling would come, a gut feeling would come, because we started vegetable supply also. उसका नाम हमने Hearty Mart fresh रखा था. तो हमने 2-3 साल उसके we persisted with that idea, but we realized it is not going anywhere. Right. So one fine day we closed it. So okay. There are certain ventures we closed within Hearty Mart as well. So right. There is not such a formula where I can guide a startup saying that ये formula follow करो. But two things: personal space को hurt नहीं करना चाहिए, and from within you'll get the answer. Right. Gut आपको बोल देगा कि अब नहीं है बस.
Sir, as you shared a very interesting, we are just trying to also cover some guiding points for our viewers and a guiding point for entrepreneurs. How do they perceive their journey? And we want to inspire a lot of people. Of course, entrepreneurship is not easy, but if you don't pursue that hard thing, then you might not in the end feel happy at the end of your life. You might be successful, getting a good salary, everything said and done, but though entrepreneurs, they are made of different soil altogether. Maybe it might not be said that entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but if you have the right spirit, probably entrepreneurs are made. So I talk about Richard Branson. So Richard Branson once upon a time said that you need to have a parallel income. So same thing which you made sure that you started working with V schools and educating people. So it's very important to fund your entrepreneurship journey. Number one, funding the entrepreneurship journey and funding your family. So by working 4 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours, you can really fund your entrepreneurial journey, which really it was too difficult for me to understand at the initial time when I started in 2009, and then we faced a lot of difficulties, a lot of debacles, a lot of things. But then you need to put in that skill or maybe a small different effort which will give you an extra money to sustain your family.
True.
So I would like to ask you here, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who want to have a school of, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who have a school of thought where say, I want to give my 100% to my business. And there is another thing that you're falling short of money. You're not able to fund your startup. Then there is another school of thought कि मेरे को कोई फंड करेगा तो मैं ये करूं. तो ओनरशिप वहां पे गायब हो जाती है. आपके पास जो है वो सब भले नहीं लगाओ, बट खुद के बिजनेस पे अगर आप इन्वेस्ट नहीं करोगे तो इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प यू. सो वन थिंग वेयर द क्वेश्चन इज as I'll ask again, to make it very simpler for the readers and to make it very simpler for the viewers, that having a second income with your business, does it hamper you or does it take the hours away from you?
I would like to answer this in this way, that you need to first figure out how much hours for you as a founder, where you have a co-founder or a team in place, is required by your business for you to contribute.
Right.
That hours aside. So वो hours आपको देना ही, वो आपको देना ही है. उसके बाद आपके पास कितने hours बचते हैं, उसमें what best you can do, that you need to figure out.
Right.
And so when I started teaching, I used to teach say 2 hours a day. So morning 8 o'clock से lecture start हो जाता था, and by 10:30 I was free. Then I was on my business. Right? So I would discuss with my team, I would strategize, I'll do many things. And by the time, because I had taken up teaching as a job, I would then read. I would read management books, I would read biographies, so that when I am in a classroom, I was very scared. I shouldn't look like a fool standing in front of say 50 students. So I honed my teaching skills also sitting at my business. Right? So I would say the best part which I did then was I never wanted to be an employee of my business. Because if you become an employee of your business, and so I was working with an advertising agency, which was an MNC, I was drawing a hefty salary. Now I left that job to start a business, and if I'm there 12 hours on the business premises, earning 1/10 of what I was earning, then basically I'm not doing justice with my abilities.
Absolutely.
Right? So I need to put in some hours, and then I need to work out some hours. It can be an advisory role, it can be whatever, teaching role, or whatever best you can do, where you get certain amount which can help you sustain yourself, and that will give you mental peace, and you will be focusing more on your business easily. Right. So that's how I think one should contribute.
Another thing means there are two approaches before you start your business. Now, when you look back, you might think that this is one thing I could have done better. So one part is managing your finances. Second part is ensuring your research and plan is done in the right way. So also making sure that you arrange your income in such a way that your business is not hampered, your family is not hampered, balancing it. So what do you think is one of the most important thing for an entrepreneur before starting up?
So I feel that today the trend has changed from the time when I started. When I started Hearty Mart, there was no startup ecosystem in place. There were no mentors available. There were no VCs, angels, at least not so easily available. We did not know much. So we had Hearty Mart started purely as a dhanda, where capital, मेरा खुद का capital, मेरे partners का capital, we had that capital, we invested, and we were working on bottom lines, we were working on profits. Right. Today, everything is on valuation. Most of the startups, they work on valuation. And that is why they are continuously in need of, right from the seed funding, they need other funds. And I'm not saying, I'm just trying to showcase the difference. Whether it's right or wrong is a different, or it's a debate altogether. Very different. But what I'm trying to say that, so in my time, we used to work, we used to earn, have savings, and invest, and work on financial support.
Now we have various ways and means of finances, debt, equity, lot of things have changed. And also we have been on the retail side where funding is, even at that point of time, it was not easy, and even today it is not easy. Tech-based startup and everyone will get a lot of funding, but the space where you are on the retail, physical presence, and now you're also venturing into online and everything is happening. But at the same point of time, funding is a very tricky game also. At the same point of time, when you started, funding था ही नहीं, तो वो बहुत मुश्किल phase था for startups, and it was difficult, and it was also a riskier space where there was no one else. So now, as we are coming on this section where we are moving from you should prepare your finances well enough. That's one of the most important aspect which you need to take care of before starting up. And when was the first success really happened and you thought that यार अभी मेरे पास funding होता तो I would have grown faster?
First success, I would say 2009 में first turnaround happened. 2004, as I already said that for five years we struggled to see some positives in my balance sheet in Johapura store. 2009 we profited. From there we started. So 2008 we started Horeca. We entered into Horeca supplies because we wanted to scale up. We wanted to have economies of scale of purchase. Horeca mein I was trying to talk to vendors for say 50-100 hotels rather than a store or a franchisee. First franchisee started in 2007. 2008 Horeca entered. So this was the time when we were seeing the growth. And I do feel that this was a time when I had access to funds. Then I would have scaled up very fast as far as my franchisees were concerned. And perhaps Horeca maybe I would have scaled up by coming up with my products earlier than starting later on, say after 3-4 years. So all these things we do feel when we look back, we do feel that ये ऐसा हो गया होता तो ऐसा होता and all. But having said that, I do feel that okay, the current pace at which our company is growing, I'm happy with the pace. I mean, I can manage the pace.
Right. So in a way, sometimes not even having enough funding is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
because when you have the luxury to spend, you always tend to overspend, overuse on
some
various.
Decisions.
Yes. So a structured way and structured approach always helps. Sometimes not scaling up becomes a very big blessing, and not overspending becomes a very big blessing. Specifically when you don't have a benchmark, you don't have a followers thing. Now, an interesting aspect of Ahmedabad as a market, I would want to understand, and we would like to share it to our viewers, that Ahmedabad is considered to be a test market for a lot of things. We have a lot of firsts happening in Ahmedabad. So we had Star Bazaar, which happened first. Because it's your segment, Tata always puts in a lot of things over here. So then it was implemented further. So a lot of people say that Ahmedabad is, जो अहमदाबाद में चल गया वो सब जगह पे चलेगा.
Fun Republic was in Ahmedabad.
Right.
The first multiplex.
What's the peculiarity of Ahmedabad market? अहमदाबाद के पानी में ऐसा क्या है?
I would say that Ahmedabad का जो consumer है वो बहुत easy नहीं है. So people and that is the reason people love to see how their product is going to fare here. I mean whether it is getting acceptance, whether because अगर अहमदाबाद में हो गया तो हर जगह पे हो जाए. It's a very price conscious, price sensitive customer here, and the Ahmedabad consumer wants a lifestyle, but again at a price which is affordable in his mind. I mean, so I would say that yes, that is the reason consumers, I mean brands want to check whether वो अहमदाबाद में चलेगा कि नहीं. अगर चलेगा तो हर जगह पे चलेगा.
Now again, coming back to your Horeca business, which really gave you a different business model. So you were into the store business, then you went into Horeca of supplying the all the materials and all the goods, the food products and everything to the hotel and the retail. How did this idea come up?
Going back to the community, I said that they had the cities में they have hotels. So गांव में they have farms, they're farmers. So when we started franchisee, we went to this community with the franchisee idea, and they started picking up and they started opening their franchisee stores गांव में. We realized that apart from giving them just a branding signage, we couldn't give them much as far as products were concerned. Because for franchisee को अगर मैं टैप करता हूँ तो Johapura store and a franchisee, there were only 2 stores and they were 2 small format stores. I did not have power of economies of scale. I couldn't ask for more discount from my vendors, right? So we went to this community restaurants again, and we said that it would be a backward integration where we would give you the kitchen supplies. And the idea worked in Horeca, and they started giving us orders, and we started negotiating on their behalf with the vendor. So agar spices lena hai, so we would ask for spices for say 50 restaurants. Now their brands, the say for an example, if I take a Ramdev spices or Bacha or whatever spices I'm negotiating, I used to get discounts. So here discounts I would pass it on to my franchisee. So franchisee also started getting discounted products because we went into Horeca. Because then we got the power of economies of scale, power of purchase.
Right.
So that was a strategic move. It was a backward integration. So we just pivoted a little, and we got a new business to take it further.
So basically, you got the purchasing power, so you were able to buy at a cheaper cost and also give the benefit to the end customer, that is Horeca hotels and restaurants. And then this was also passed on to the consumer, where you were able to discount it further and give you offers. Because when you deal with big brands, if you don't have a volume, see, probably there were B. Ravji was the store operational at that point of time, which became Adani Supermarket later on, and then they didn't continue further.
Yeah, it was sold. Adani sold it to Reliance.
Reliance, and then Reliance Supermarket and everything started coming up. So it was very difficult. Even today, until unless you don't have a very huge buying power, it is very difficult to offer a discounted thing. Corporates, you didn't also have as big a store like Star Bazaar or Reliance has. Even today, you have the competitive advantage that you operate from a smaller thing, but the kind of sales they can generate, it's very difficult to compete.
True.
So at the same point of time, they also own their own products. So you gradually started also innovating your own brands, products, and a lot of integration was required. So how is this retail market? Is it a jigsaw puzzle where you have to arrange all the pieces at one time?
Yes, retail, because consumer, with lots and lots of discounts coming up, with online coming up, today consumer has lots of options, right? We have seen that quick commerce have also started with Swiggy, Instamart, Blinkit and all. There are certain products which otherwise consumer would buy on impulse or a last minute purchase has stopped from the retail store, because they know that even at 11 o'clock in the or at the midnight they'll get the products there. So I would say that retail has got there is transformation, a huge transformation from e-commerce to quick commerce to first it started with organized retail. But having said that, to even today there is a bunch of consumers, there's a segment who would like to go and visit a store because they love the kind of purchase they can do, and that consumer base is going to stay. So I think future would be a hybrid model where these small Kirana stores, they will have their own apps. Perhaps they might come up with their apps. Right. They might have their own supply chain to the customer and consumer app. If they remain open till the dark stores are open, like Swiggy has some dark stores or from where they supply at 12 o'clock, then they can also fight with them. I'm not sure whether it's possible, but at least they will have a good pie of retail business with them, right, which is not going to go anywhere. So and now it would be a hybrid model, I think.
Right. Now, so you mean to say that the current Kirana stores will have to be flexible, moving out from there? Of course, they have that benefit of loyalty. True. Because the housewife, the touch and feel factor which you said, and the trust which a Kirana store owner has.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things is also sold on loose at Kirana store.
That personal connect is there.
कि भाई नहीं वो 1 किलो बोला है तो 1 किलो ही आएगा, या 10 किलो बोला है 10 किलो ही आएगा. And so that's very important. But the current Kirana store open will have to change to a different model, where there used to be earlier Kirana में आज भी वही प्रैक्टिस फॉलो करते हैं कि एक ही बंदा होता है जो दुकान पे बैठता है और बाद में एक दो जन होता है जो साइकिल पे या टू व्हीलर पे आजू बाजू में डिलीवरी करने जाता है. So now lot of stores also are opening in say residential societies. There have been some societies, some townships which have more than 1,000 homes in one. So things will have to change. People will have to adapt the new models, online marketing, because what I see currently, Kirana has adapted only UPI. So adapting UPI alone does not mean innovation.
So that is the trend you have to accept it.
Right. So वो तो ट्रेंड एक्सेप्ट किया, वो तो कन्वीनियंस की बात.
सही बात.
But what if the Kirana stores have to be relevant in today's time? What's that one advice you would want to give it to them?
I would say that they should learn a lot from organized stores. Number one, how they do the delivery to the last mile. I mean, last mile connect कैसे करते हैं? They should also try to understand how Blinkit and other one. Maybe perhaps they can't do what Blinkit does, but at least they can have their own app. They can circulate their app in the WhatsApp groups of their customers and ask them to download this app, and they would be offering, because they don't have to do something to have their trust. The trust is already there, right? Normally the Kirana store वाले का एडवांटेज क्या है? ही इज अ जनरेशनल स्टोर. मतलब आज एक किराना स्टोर जो 50 साल पहले था, आज उसका बेटा या उसका ग्रैंडसन इज रनिंग द स्टोर,
राइट.
तो वो मॉडर्नाइज कर देगा उसको. वो हाइब्रिड मॉडल अगर करता है तो उसका कस्टमर बेस कहीं नहीं जाने वाला. राइट. सो एंड विद मोर प्रोडक्ट रेंज एंड मोर कमिंग अप विद हाइब्रिड लास्ट माइल कनेक्ट एंड मे बी परहैप्स स्मॉल व्हाट्सएप, कुछ नहीं तो व्हाट्सएप में taking orders and delivering it will definitely give them an edge.
Right. So convenience and trust is what they will need to be focused on, and also bringing an innovation, but not burning it too much where they overspend in branding and changing the look of the restaurant. So there has to be a balance between the modern and the today's world. There has to be a balance between the modern and the traditional world, which they have to make sure that they have the same look and feel, because if you change the look and feel, the entire trust, the way they used to run will change away. And people will say that whether I go for a convenience store or to go to a Kirana store, it gives the same feeling. So then what's their value in this entire thing? At the same point of time, where do you see that the way you really worked on increasing your purchasing power? Do you see a model where Kirana stores can come and collaborate with organizations like you and really take this model to the next level?
For that, actually, to be honest, we have not scaled up to that level.
Right.
But I think what you are saying is maybe hub and spoke model, where there is a centralized buying, a centralized huge store is there.
Right.
And then Kirana wala they come. So all these, I think Metro in Ahmedabad, Metro store, which is called cash and carry. Cash and carry normally does the same thing, where if retailers, they get a card, and when they come and they punch their card, they'll get access to products, and that I mean the purchase is in bulk. So rather than taking products in single pieces, you need to take in, say, dozens.
Right.
3 dozen का एक product लिया, 4 dozen, I mean cartons you have to pick up from that cash and carry store. So Reliance is, I think, also doing this. So in a smaller scale we can do that, but then that becomes a very different model.
Coming to this again, there is something very well connected to the convenience stores, small stores, where is your presence, and you have also now. You're also now into distribution, I think.
Yeah.
You are also distributing. So you have multiple avenues of revenue which you have created from just one store to gradually going and working on the Horeca side, and then also getting into distribution, which has happened because you have learned over a period of time that if you have to survive in front of big brands, then you need to have your own model, which will give you survival. So did you face any of this situation, and how did you handle those situations where big brands would have pushed you down, or you find yourself under pressure competing with huge brands?
Huge brand, because I started my stores in rural part of Gujarat.
Right.
Honestly, I did not face any issue whatsoever as far as bigger brands was concerned, because we too were offering different products in parallel world. Actually, they were in urban and metro centers. We were in a semi-urban and a rural sector. But having said that, I would say that Mart is coming up with more and more stores catering to both. So if you see, there is a huge Mart store on the highways where villages are surrounding that highway. Villagers are there who would come and purchase from the Mart, and a city customer would also come there because it's on the highway, right? So Mart is going to be a bigger player in this area, and Mart might create some issues in a few of our franchises which are at a taluka level.
But how are you being ready for that?
So I would say that we have been in this field since last 20 years, and
Right.
we have a goodwill there. So गांव में goodwill हमारा बहुत strong है, and if we keep on giving them good offers and good products, so maybe a bigger player might come. It would hurt us somewhere, but I think we would also learn from them. अभी तक हम लोग गांव में अकेले से, अब कोई player आएगा तो we also learn 10 things from them. It would eventually, I think it will help us as well in making it more, modern store there, fighting with the competition.
Right. Do you think sometimes competition is good, or?
I think competition creates a market. I'll give you a classic example. What is a food court? So if you go to a food court, what you do, you take pizza from here, you take cold drink from here, and maybe you take burger from some other place, or pav bhaji from other place. You are 10 people, you sit on a common table and you eat. So that food court is a marketplace. Everyone is offering food. But अब now just imagine कि वहाँ पर सिर्फ पिज्जा वाला है, and there is no pav bhaji wala. What you would do? You would say, अरे इधर तो पिज्जा ही मिलता है, and you would go away from there. So that pizza is also not sold. पाव भाजी तो है ही नहीं, पर पिज्जा भी नहीं बिका. अब आप ग्रुप में जाते हो, आपने देखा पाव भाजी मिलता है, पिज्जा मिलता है, सब मिलता है, तो आप वहाँ बैठ के खाओगे. The same way it works. Competition creates a marketplace, and you and consumers start spending there, because वो यहाँ से कुछ लेगा, वहाँ से कुछ लेगा. Malls is a marketplace. Allen Solly से पैंट लिया, Arrow से शर्ट ले लिया आपने. So they are all competing brands. So I think competition creates a marketplace. If we see that from that angle and try to learn and try to develop our offering, we are going to stay with them. That's how it works.
So it's just one known example. So if there is a vending machine of Pepsi, and then the vending machine of Coke, and then there is vending machine of some other brand, so the appetite of a customer increases. So when you see it more, the appetite to consume it. You're not in any form promoting any cold drink brand or cold drink consumption. I would just highlight this, that if you're able to see, then there is whether I want to have Coke or Pepsi. The question goes there कि मुझे Coke पीना है या Pepsi पीना है. ये क्वेश्चन नहीं है कि मुझे कोल्ड ड्रिंक पीना है या नहीं पीना.
True. Option
कोल्ड ड्रिंक तो पीना ही है, पर कोल्ड ड्रिंक के साथ में I have two options. So your consumption increases, and when you have so many options, the customer tends to their aspiration increases to a greater level. So they overspend also to a great extent. So that's how in supermarkets it's sold more. Eventually, though there are discounts, but that's how it is. Now, can you share us? There was a recent past, not very recently, but Big Bazaar faced a lot of meltdown. Can you share us a little bit about what was that entire issue? Why did Big Bazaar and the entire Future Group really didn't survive in retail?
I don't know the inside story, to be honest, but from observational point, I can say that Big Bazaar couldn't survive because of the heavy lease it had to pay. Big Bazaar did not have their own premises, unlike DMart. DMart is every property is owned by them.
Oh.
So they have assets as far as property is concerned. Number one, so their balance sheet is very strong. Number two, they don't have to pay heavy rentals to run a store, unlike Big Bazaar, which was killed by rentals. I do feel heavy rentals killed the food, grocery, or your daily need product. They don't have that kind of margins to survive. So if you have to pay, your entire bottom line goes in paying the rent, or maybe you are paying more than what your store is earning as far as rent is concerned. So store is not going to be ever a profit making store. So I think this point killed Big Bazaar.
To a great extent.
Otherwise, they were the pioneers one.
Right.
We used to look up to them as a brand, which the Indian brand, which was of this scale,
Right. So it was a big achievement to scale up, and lot of brands came in because of Big Bazaar, and I hope we learn from such cases. Now, I would want to understand one more important aspect. How did your case study reach to these schools, and what was so interesting that people got attention, and why did the B school started featuring? What was the unique part of your case study?
So it started in 2007 when I had a chance visit. I went to Mica and I was discussing with a professor friend, and he said that you started a store in Johapura. It's itself a story. So how did you do it? So why don't you pen down how did you do it? And we'll work together and we'll take it to a next level where we'll get it published. So we started writing, and then it became a European case clearing house case study. ECCH was then a case clearing house, so which used to give cases in US, distribute cases in UK US market. So that was 2007-8 when Hearty Mart ka first case of Johapura store creating a retail brand was published. I co-authored that. So that was just the beginning. Then one of the professors started. He wrote a case on Hearty Mart business model. He wrote a book with a professor friend on how our business model was empowering rural people and how it became a source of their livelihood. So उसपे पूरा model पे a book was published, Supermarkets of Gujarat, by Sardar Patel Institute of Socio-Economic Research. Munish Alag was a friend of mine, and he co-authored with Mr. Subrata Datta. So that's a book which is distributed by Academic Foundation. So that was the other, and entire book is on my business model. So business model, people started liking the business model. They felt that grassroots level way we are doing something which is very different. So that attracted them. And lastly, it got a case study. Was published by National University of Singapore. So Dr. Amarpreet Singh Hura is one of the professors with Flames University. He, along with his other professor friend, they wrote a case on corporate entrepreneurship. So there was a small idea which we did at our business, and that idea was called Idea Box. So I felt that my leadership team was mostly from village, गांव से थे वो लोग. So they wouldn't come up with ideas. उनको ऐसा लगता था they would feel little bit shy. They would feel that maybe उनका idea we might not accept because they did not have that kind of a polished educational background. But they were working on ground. So I realized that if they are working on ground, their idea should be better than us because they know the situation more than us. So हम लोगों ने एक पिगी बैग जो बनाते थे उसको हमने आइडिया बॉक्स करके भी ब्रांडेड, and we would ask them to drop an idea, and we said you drop the idea anonymously because if you don't want to give your name, but I want that idea. And every week we would open, or if idea was really good, we would announce the idea and ask them to claim. And if they claim, we reward them. by some kind of recognition within our premises, and we would implement the idea. So this was the idea box, which the case in NUS, ACRG is their journal, उसमें publish हुआ है, Asian Case Research Journal of National University of Singapore on idea box.
So as we earlier also talked about that you venture into rural market. Now, how difficult was it and how different the rural market was all about?
Initially, rural market was very difficult because we are talking about a story which was 18 years back. First franchisee started in 2007. Tab WhatsApp was also not there. Tab internet penetration was not at this scale. There was no social media. Things have changed a lot from there. Now I feel that today at taluka level, if you say taluka or cluster villages, their urban rural ka jo divide hai, it is thinning because brand communication penetration is everywhere. Because of WhatsApp, everyone knows about different brands. Though that brand is not supplied to them, but there is brand awareness, right? The social media pe they see various reels promoting brands and all, and uska penetration hai. So now it becomes easy to market. So I say that there is a new emerging segment which is coming up. This is called Rurban, and this segment is basically in taluka center. It is rural by tradition, rurally rooted, urban by aspiration. So if you do something different with them, they would accept it. It should be economical. It should have a quality as well. And there are cluster villages. So these two, so if a brand pick up a cluster village and a brand would pick up a taluka center, brand can definitely do wonders there. My experience is because 1/3 of your retail consumption comes from there. The latest figure says almost 33%. And I think 14% growth is there in the rural market. So I feel that India ka economic turnaround would come from there. It would give us a new sunshine if this particular segment is nurtured, targeted, nurtured and pampered.
People think a lot of times we feel that rural market mein to ho jaye, but there is a very unique peculiarity of Indian rural market where they are even more aware, more educated, because there is another organization which we closely work with is Srushti. They work with villagers, they work with farmers, so they know the product well.
True.
So sometimes it is very important to be very realistic and very great that it might look good in packaging, but people know what they are buying. So the customer in rural market is sometimes even more aware than the urban market. And now coming WhatsApp in their phones, now even the internet consumption in rural market has increased to a tremendous level, which you said now it is easier for us to communicate and reach out to the customer. But how difficult it is becoming, it has always been. It has not been an easy job.
Yeah, no, it has always been very difficult because they are the most value conscious customers, right? So they need, they have aspirations. They want good quality products, but they are not driven by pure status. Unlike urban customer, जो status को flaunt करके कोई भी product ले लेगा. I mean, वो urban में you showcase status, you showcase your class, and that product is sold. Rural में you showcase value, you promote on a value, quality, price, then everything would be sold. Even a blazer can be sold to them, is what I'm saying. Though if it is not the part of their lifestyle, you can sell it by showcasing a value to them.
Right.
So I would say that rural में, but as said, it is not so. ऐसा नहीं है कि रूरल कस्टमर को मालूम नहीं है और आप सिखाने जा रहे हो. उसको मालूम सब कुछ है, आपको उसको कन्विंस करना है. वो फर्क हो गया. That is the difference now. And from there, 2007 to 2025 में the difference is you don't have to make them aware. You have to convince them. Pehle you had to make them aware. So things were much more difficult.
Right. Now it's relatively easier.
I'll give you a very simple example. Medimix during that time, I think 2005-6, they changed their color. The Medimix was I think bluish color का उसका box
They had
था.
a different packaging.
हाँ, blue color का box था. If I'm not wrong, they made it to red. Or we had experienced this in one of our village stores that village customers were not picking up. वो उसको ऐसा लगा कि ये वो प्रोडक्ट नहीं है,
बदल गया है.
ये मैं बात करता हूँ 6-7 की. Things have changed now. You know, rural customer knows the brand well. पहले it was Medimix was a brand, but they were वो color से they would pick up a product. They were not picking up the brand. ये product बहुत अच्छा है. Today they will pick up the brand. So that is what the difference is. That's what social media, that's what WhatsApp has done.
Social media, digital media has made them a little more aware. So it's different. But do you think your advertising experience, where there was a very clear demarcation of how to approach an urban customer and how to approach a rural customer, did it really help you to understand that these are very distinct customers and I need to address it very differently?
Yeah. Urban customers are more, as I already said, that on a television or on a newspaper or even in social media, they might get lured by good presentation of a product. A rural customer are more dependent on word of mouth. So, as said, they are value conscious. They are value conscious, and that is the reason they are less risk taker. But they need the product.
Right.
So, if as a product or a brand promoter, you understand this really well, you can craft a communication around that. Where value consciousness and maybe a word of mouth. अगर आपने इन्फ्लुएंसर्स ले लिए रूरल सेटअप में से 4 अच्छे लोग जिनका बहुत रिस्पेक्ट है गांव में या टाउन में, और वो आपका अगर इन्फ्लुएंसर है, वो अगर आपका वर्ड ऑफ माउथ स्प्रेड करते हैं तो वो पेनिट्रेशन बहुत फास्ट होगा.
So you mean to say that the real influencers in today's world, people
not
who
the
are,
Instagram influencers.
Yes.
But I'm saying that maybe someone who is well respected, maybe a teacher, maybe a professor if there is a college, so someone, maybe a doctor, and that doctor is really using it, is genuinely using the product और उसको लगता है बहुत अच्छा है और उसने 4 लोगों को बोल दिया, वो फर्क पड़ता है.
Right. So now if an influential person who really believes in your product would be a more stronger influencer for any given scenario in the rural market, and same also it is applicable where a lot of customers are being used to influence further marketing, because a lot of testimonials, interviews, conversational content, all of these are being used. Their testimonials, their experiences are shared with people. So if you talk about Dove is constantly doing that. This is what was my experience earlier in the television. You've been seeing that campaign. So that's how real sense में जो influential है उनको दिखाया गया है. And it was, sometimes they also have celebrities, but they also have faces who might not be known. So that represents the customers. So that's how it is. Now, sir, one important question again for the entrepreneurs again, where it has been 21 years, you started your venture. Sometimes you feel that सब चल रहा है, हो रहा है, चल रहा है, but how do you keep that hunger? Means there needs to be an appetite to grow. You need to have an appetite. You need to be hungry. You need to be foolish. नहीं ये करना है, ये करना है. How do you keep it ongoing?
I think my connect with the startup ecosystem has made that hunger live with me, because I have seen startups young startups, they are doing really well. They are growing very fast. I have seen people coming up, growing faster than me, becoming unicorns in front of my eyes. You know, when I started, it was 21 years. मेरे सामने फ्लिपकार्ट आके यूनिकॉर्न बन के बिक भी गया और निकल भी गया. It was फ्लिपकार्ट का जर्नी was 10 years. My journey is 21 years. So So I feel that still there's lots and lots of things to be done as far as Hearty Mart is concerned. So I have my own journey. I have my own pace. So I'm not trying to enter into a rat race, because that was the reason I entered into entrepreneurship. I never wanted to be in the rat race, but I wanted to have a long, prolonged journey, which is milestone based, and
Right.
that is why when we felt that India में अभी इतना किया है, now we need to do something at a global level. So we started Dubai operations in 2022. One of my partners moved there. दुबई में हमने क्या, दुबई में again it's a startup story now, because Hearty Mart is new in Dubai. Nobody knows Hearty Mart there. So all that struggle of startup has started haunting us again in Dubai now.
Right.
And my partners, we keep on talking and encouraging everyone that we are going to grow in Dubai as well, the way we did in India. And there would be a time when Dubai would be on auto mode. But as of now, we need to focus and do our work. So
Right.
that's how we go, and that's how our appetite is always with us. That hunger
Right.
is there with us.
So now, how do you balance risk-taking capacity and growth? Because now you have an appetite to take risk, but you need to have appetite of balancing it up with growth and with sustaining the balance.
So risk taking, I mean, for growth, we feel that whatever we are doing in Dubai is actually we are doing for growth, though growth hasn't come to us.
Right.
And we also do feel that, God forbid, if things don't work out and Dubai doesn't work, then our local operation shouldn't get hampered. That thing has been properly taken care of.
Right.
So अगर इंडियन ऑपरेशन को हमको दुबई से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा, अगर दुबई में कुछ भी होता है तो वो रिस्क, उतना रिस्क लेने का, we did not take a risk where if anything goes wrong there, everything goes wrong here.
Right.
That would be a very, very different risk. I mean, that wouldn't be a calculated risk. So
Right.
calculated risk mein, yes, we are burning money there, and we are hoping that this would stop, because
Right.
we see few little bulbs everywhere, but we want to see the sunshine.
Right. Let's hope you see the sunshine very soon in Dubai market and you keep growing in the same pace as you have been. Now, your venture had been very purposeful initially. You wanted to empower a particular community having that talent and then make everyone grow together. So how do you balance that purpose and growth? Sometimes there is always a challenge that this is hampering our purpose of the venture. And this is, if we do this way, it is always attractive. If we do this, we'll grow faster. So how do you really ensure that both are on the same line?
So first thing is I look at the people who helped me in making Hearty Mart what it is today, and most of our employees are with us since I would say initial period. So yes, in any business venture, if someone says कि no, हम तो हमेशा ध्यान रखते हैं कि सबको साथ में लेके चलेंगे, it doesn't happen that way. But I would say that 75% of our focus is that employees should be retained, and उन्हीं के साथ हमको आगे बढ़ना है. 25% में ये है कि if we do feel that there are certain issues, then we need to talk it out with our employees, and if they feel that they can't do much, then we will give them enough time to look for other options. But 75% though, we want to live with this idea that they are with us when we were very small. They trusted us. So now is a time where we need to give it back to them, and we have energies. So in spite of that, we can take it to a next level. So why not we try that first?
What's the scale of operations of current Hearty Mart? And then we'll talk about the vision further. But what's the current scale of Hearty Mart?
Hearty Mart Horeca, Hearty Mart Enterprise Private Limited, is a company which is close to 50 CR INR, 50 CR annual turnover, where we cater to 1600 plus restaurants across Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan, parts of Maharashtra, parts of Rajasthan, and Gujarat. So Horeca में that way we are a bigger player, very prominent player. Horeca में we have floated we have floated micro enterprises where we have given them the seed fund. So we are into packaging, we are into chai, tea, Hearty Mart tea. We were into bakery. We had a Hearty Mart Baker's Point, but we exited that business. We were into farm to market. So these two business we exited. So basically we had 9 such ventures. Overall group turnover over अगर उनको भी गिने तो we were crossing 75 CR. And अब जो franchisee network के साथ franchisee is on the 4-4 model. So Hearty Mart brand turnover is crossing more than 100 CR because franchisees are, though they are not owned by me, they are on a 4-4 model, but brand, they belong to Hearty Mart brand. Because of Hearty Mart, they got the scale. Because of Hearty Mart, they have got the employees. So I think that way it is more than 100 CR, a group turnover. Everything put together, franchisee network, micro enterprises and Hearty Mart Enterprise. Hearty Mart Enterprise में we floated a company called Hearty Mart Overseas, which is in Dubai, where through Hearty Mart Overseas we export products to UK market, New Zealand, African markets, and we have floated a company consultancy firm called Hearty Mart Biz Hub, where we are trying to give a platform to small SMEs or startups to have their base in Dubai, where we will give them, we'll do their business viability study, we'll give them, we'll guide them that their startup gets registered properly, and if they need go down or logistics support, we help them identify go downs and all. So right. That is Hearty Mart Biz Hub. So this is the scale of Hearty Mart as on date.
Right. And what are your future vision? What you really want to achieve in coming 5 years?
I have never thought what I would do in coming 5 years because things change very fast. With AI coming up, with artificial intelligence, AI now will play a very big role even in retail sector. So it's very difficult to gauge what we would be doing, but I think we would like to be known as a company which started with supermarket, but it has very good products, very good product range, and we have global products, global spices product brand. So to be known that way.
What is your advice regarding funding? Because you had a co-founder earlier, as you had someone who had collaborated with you, and then. So what is your advice for funding?
The funding is essential. Funding is needed. Even today, we need funds. Dubai ke liye bhi we need funds. So we rely more on debt funding, banks. So funding is an integral part of any business. So I wouldn't say that funding isn't needed. But at what point you need funds, that's very important. Because if you if you start taking funds right from day one, you will lose lots and lots of equity, which otherwise you could have scaled at a certain stage.
Right.
So you need to have your own bootstrapping to start with. उसको एक level पे आप scale करो. Then you go for angels, investors or VCs later on, and create your own personal wealth by selling your equity to them. Right. I think that would be a right thing. So funding, yes, funding is needed, but when, that you need to decide. Initial phase funding, I don't buy that. I mean, even if you want to start, you do with bootstrapping, only then the skin is there in their game, in your game.
Right.
You know? Your skin is there in it.
Even an investor would want your skin to be there in the game. If you're completely dependent on investor, why would investor give you? They might just take up the idea and hire someone and
someone else and do it. True.
So investors are ideally looking at somewhere your skin is in the game, which is quite important for the founders to succeed also.
Sure.
Because if you don't feel the pain, you might not really put in that kind of great effort. Yes, now startups and funding games has eased up, but it is not also so easy as it's seen in the television. The way we see it in our mobile phones on Shark Tank, the life is really very difficult and different. If you want to say, yes, there are people, say, there are a lot of sugar brand, boat, They're Aman Gupta, everyone is sitting in the Shark Tank, they're funding startups, but they're funding a very small number of startups. There is a huge screening before that, before they really come on the startup. Means if they really come on the Shark Tank. So, do you think funding is so simple decision making, which we see it on television?
No, I don't. I don't think so. Funding needs lots of due diligence from the investor's perspective as well. You need to know whether the founder has that kind of vision, whether he has that that entrepreneurial spirit जिससे वो sustain करके आगे ले जाएगा. बहुत सारी चीजें. There are many things which are intangible which one needs to study before he or she would commit for funding. Right. So funding isn't easy even from the investor's perspective. It isn't easy even from the startup perspective because startup को भी कितना equity देना है एक fund लेने के लिए. वो इतना equity भी नहीं दे देना चाहिए startup को कि बाद में वो grow करके उसको लगे I have not earned anything.
So it's very important for a founder. Everyone might not have enough money to start their venture, so it's absolutely okay to take funding. But depending completely on the funding is a wrong approach.
It's a wrong approach.
Sometimes you might also not have the funding when you really want to start, or you might think that you're going to miss a bus. So you might apply for funding. Government is putting in a lot of funding, but thinking through the entire thing, that how much I need funding and how would I sustain further is very important. आज पैसा मिल गया, आपको फंडिंग मिल गया 10 लाख 20 लाख 50 लाख, आज एक बार फंडिंग मिल जाएगा और उसके बाद में उसको सरवाइव कैसे करना है. That's a very important question to answer. And valuation game, because when there is a valuation game, if you are giving away your huge equity at a very initial level, then you might not have the...
Even if your startup gets the valuation, as a founder, you might not get that kind of
returns. Right. We have a founder, we have already have a startup, Just Dogs, which I know them as a customer, also as a pet parent, and as a guest. She has been there. They, after scaling up to 50 stores, then they went to VCs.
True.
तो उनको वो valuation मिला.
बिल्कुल. That's the right approach.
So वो 40-50 स्टोर तक उन्होंने self sustainable रखा है. They will. It's also a test market. Now, if you sit across a VC right now, they know that you have a model which is running. While if a startup goes there with a plan, it's just on paper. Maybe vetting is done, everything is done, but still there is if and but. ये होगा तो ये होगा, पर आपने प्रूव किया हुआ. जब आप प्रूव कर लेते हो तो आपके पास वो एडवांटेज होता है VC के पास बैठने के लिए कि मुझे लेना है या नहीं लेना, whether it is fitting in me or not. So that's very important aspect. Now Ahmedabad has lot of amazing spaces, like I have lot of co-working spaces which were not there earlier. We have Ichai.
True. That
happened from Ahmedabad. Share with us. Ichai does not need any introduction from me or anyone else. They've done a great job. Share something about how can communities like Ichai can really boost startup ecosystem.
My association with Ichai started when Ichai was starting. So it is a journey we had together for last 15-16 years. And Ichai gave me a platform where I got connected with lots and lots of startups. And then Jatin became a personal friend. And Jatin ke saath Kumar Manish also became a personal friend. So yes, community is very essential because I never had a mentor with me. And whatever I did, वो क्या कहते हैं, अपना walk किया, गिरे, जैसे a kid, the way kid starts learning, वो खड़ा होता है, बैठता है, गिरता है, खड़ा होता है, इसी तरह से मेरा journey entrepreneurship का था. But when I got associated with Ichai, I got few friends, personal friends like Jatin and Kumar, where I discuss lots of things with them, and that's very essential. So community is very essential. Startup and also because of that, I got connected with various incubation centers. I'm mentor with IMA Ventures. I'm a mentor on board with GeoSec. I have so that these things, they gave me a platform where I get connected with young smart startups. So that gives me lots and lots of kick. And that keeps that passion alive in me. So community, yes, very very essential. I started Hearty Mart also with the community, which was a social community, and this support is essential. Any entrepreneur should look for community which will support him. It can be family, it can be friend, or anyone, and then journey becomes easy and interesting.
Also, what happens is that one thing what a founder needs the most is a moral support or a guiding spirit, because entrepreneurship journey might be that he's leading a 100 people venture or a 10 people venture, but it is lonely at top, where you feel so lonely because everything is on you. You might be sitting in a comfortable AC compartment or cabin, but making that decision is not easy. It keeps you restless to a great, and where you meet with other entrepreneurs, sharing that, theek hai yaar, I'm going through a difficult time, and then someone says that we have been through this.
Exactly.
तो वो कोई अगर बोल देता है तो वो एक एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए क्या हो जाता है, इट्स अ बूस्टिंग कॉन्फिडेंस. यार ये भी निकल जाएगा, इसका हो गया है तो अपना भी हो जाएगा. Sometimes you also need to digest failures. So community also gives you a lot of empathy also कि भाई failure सबकी लाइफ में आता है, और एक एंटरप्रेन्योर की लाइफ में जितना फेलियर आता है वही उसकी सक्सेस की तरफ उसको ले जाता है. It's very easy to say this, but it is very difficult to digest this. So community gives you so much of importance. So you don't work in a corner. Be there in the community, because at a lot of times the founder becomes too possessive that he doesn't want to share, he doesn't want to talk. That becomes a pressure in that startup and in an entrepreneur's life. So a lot of times they get burned out, and a lot of problems are there. So community hampers you from doing this. Might not be that immediately, might not give you results, but at the same point of time, it gives you an opportunity to collaborate, find new avenues. So that's what community does, and looking forward to it further. Now again, another area, you've spent 20 years, now you have a son, your son coming in this. So how have you planned the succession? Because a lot of times it's very difficult. You might build a business, but it is very difficult to leave the legacy.
In my case, because I was a founder and I started Hearty Mart. So Hearty Mart, he is my younger son. So when he was young, since those days, he has been hearing word Hearty Mart in the household. People would talk about Hearty Mart getting featured here, or Hearty Mart getting Forbes story, or Hearty Mart getting cases written on it. So there was, I would say, in his subconscious mind, he wanted to join Hearty Mart. And he was with Ahmedabad University. He was a gold medalist here. Then he joined this Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where he did MA in social entrepreneurship, again with gold medal. But he never opted for any other jobs, and he joined me straight away. Succession plan mein, I wanted him to understand operations. I wanted to fill the gap where his education would be a help to my people, my community, people who were with me. So I was the only person who had white collar background, who was an MBA then working there. Apart, most of them were from the village. My partners are also from the village. So Furkan brings that strength with his exposure. So he is currently looking after exports, all documentations, talking to export clients, handling Dubai office ka backend from here. And eventually 2 to 3 years, 4 years down the line, he would be in the forefront then. So Abhi it's a grooming period, but we are Hearty Mart is mainly by 3 partners. So we have a succession में each role, a father ka role, a son would follow. So eventually Furqan is going to become a mentor after exposure, and initially work as a CEO and then mentor, and then scale up perhaps. I have told him that I brought it here, you need to make it 500,000 crore company.
Looking forward, and I hope we see that very soon. Now you talked about the mentor role.
Oh.
How important is it for an entrepreneur to be a very good mentor?
Very important, because unless you become a mentor or you start thinking like a mentor, you will not become compassionate. Entrepreneurship is more of creating an idea, bringing people on board to make the idea success. So it's a people's work. I mean, it's something where more and more people are. You need to take people along. If you are a mentor, you will understand their weaknesses. You might understand their strength, and you might like to contribute in making their weakness into a strength, in transforming them. This happens only through a level of emotional quotient within you. So I think emotional quotient और mentorship, मैं दोनों को एक ही गिनता हूँ, is very very essential if you want to become a successful entrepreneur.
Who is your inspiration? Which entrepreneur, which brand is your inspiration?
Steve Jobs, for coming up with integration model, where Apple is the only company which has its own iOS software, उसका hardware है, उसी का I always quote, उसी का music था, उसी के stores थे, right? So everywhere you go, you get Apple experience. We don't have Apple stores in Ahmedabad, but Apple stores, purchasing from Apple store is an experience in itself. Listening to Apple music is an experience in itself. So because of that integration model, it was very, I was very, very impressed with what Steve Jobs had done.
Right.
I am very impressed with what J.R.D. Tata did. J.R.D. Tata, Ratan Tata scaled up. J.R.D. Tata operated from Taj ki hotel, because J.R.D. se pehle R.D. Tata took the Tata ownership. I mean, he was the head. During that time, lots and lots of losses Tata Group had to go through lots and lots of losses. So when J.R.D. eventually took over, he was, I think, 22 when J.R.D. took over. He did not have his own personal property anywhere because everything was sold. And so, वो Taj, this iconic Taj Palace के room से he used to operate the Tata Group, and then he scaled up to a next level, and he was a CEO for, I think, 60 years. I think he was a CEO. 1991, 92 he passed away. If I'm remembering correctly, and he took over at 1930. So for so many years he was a CEO. So JRD, and he was very humble also, because I read Sudha Murthy had written about how he was known in his setup. He was known as Apro JRD. Everybody would say ke Apro JRD. So that was that everyone would connect, right from a person at the bottom or the top would connect with JRD Tata. So respect for him.
Right.
And lastly, I would also quote Jack Welch, who built GE. So Jack Welch, because Jack Welch, he has mentioned about he never knew that he used to stammer. उसको मालूम नहीं था ये वीकनेस है, बिकॉज उसकी मदर ने कभी उसको ये महसूस करने नहीं दिया. तो he would, as a kid, he would ask his mom that why do I stammer? Why? What is this? So his mother would say that you are so smart that your tongue cannot match your brain. So with that strength, he became Jack Welch. So when he became a CEO, he realized that this was his weakness.
Right.
So weakness को उसने strength बना दिया. So I have, so these three I always quote whenever people ask me.
Right.
These three figures, they are inspirational.
And also one thing to add, he is a very inspirational person. Please also read his interesting blogs, which he writes on a regular basis. Sharing is what Nadeem Bhai is very fond of, and he's a great mentor. And whenever you want to take an idea, whenever you want to take a feedback, he's always available. So managing his availability in busy schedule, you hardly listen from him that I am busy, I am not available, because he returns the call. So that's a very great feature when you are able to digest your success, managing the time, because that management of time you were good at from a very initial time when you were struggling in the venture. You were also an educator. So that balance allows you where you manage your time. One last thing which I want to make sure that every entrepreneur listens to it, because at a lot of time you put in a lot of hard work, a lot of people gain weight, they get into health issues. What would you like to say about the health, taking care of health for entrepreneurs?
Again, it is very essential, because if a person running an organization, a person at the top is unfit, then he cannot inspire his team. So you need to, but I mean, I'm not saying that you can be 100% free from illness. There are certain ailments which are genetic. There are certain ailments which you catch. This is all fine, but you need to remain active. You need to exercise. You need to have a healthy mind initially, then healthy body. Because unless your mind is healthy, unless you read good books, you instill positivity in your mind. I quote this example that whenever rains happen, whatever you see, जंगल जो जंगली उग जाता है झाड़, वो वीड होता है. वीड खुद से उगता है, उसको उगाना नहीं पड़ता, राइट? सो बारिश आती है तो वीड उग जाता है, बट फार्मर को सीड डालना पड़ता है. सो पॉजिटिव थॉट्स आर लाइक सीड्स. You need to implant them in your mind. They are not going to grow खुद से. They are not going to grow. Weed is your negative thoughts. They'll keep on coming. So whenever you face struggle, weeds would come up. Mind would say a very depressing thing. Mind would say खत्म हो जाएगा, सब खत्म हो जाएगा. That is weed. So वो weed को आप काटो और plant करो positive thought. आप जैसे healthy mind आएगा, you would become more positive. You would like to exercise more. You would like to then you will have a very healthy body. So depression, ये सब you need to kill. They are all weeds. Think, plant positivity in your mind. But you eventually whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Right. So why do you want to think on things where you don't have any other control? Rather, you control yourself and things will be good.
Very important part, though we are moving towards concluding, but I would want this to be addressed. Depression, stress, anxiety, they are often very dangerous to us. But I think stress, depression, anxiety is taken too seriously. Because if you don't have stress, if you don't have pressure, you might not be able to force to think differently. But also handling them is very important.
Exactly. You put it rightly. Stress would come. Anxiety would come. Right. Handling is important. So let me give you an example. In my first podcast, I was very stressed. And I was very nervous also. I couldn't utter well. Second podcast, third podcast onwards, I am become very confident. So if you are put into the same experience again and again, you become very you can adapt yourself well. You can handle the stress. So entrepreneurship is a journey where ups and downs would happen. So every ups and downs, जैसे जैसे होगा, you will be able to handle the stress and anxiety in your way more efficiently.
Right. So what I would want to sum up is, from the health part and from the stress and anxiety part, it's very important to balance your personal, professional and your health in total. Because if you are not able to balance the personal life, it will come as an impact on your health and also on your venture, because everything is connected. Entrepreneur cannot be left in an isolation.
True.
They have a family, they have social, they have to do everything across. Saying that you cannot disconnect from there. So you have to balance every aspect of it. Of course, you focus, you give your 100% to your venture, but also balance all these aspects and also balance the health aspect. Because you might lose out on that, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs who might have not taken care of health. They're now at the right time, they are taking care of it. But the success ratio is very limited. So you have to make a way of life.
True.
With your struggle, if you are able to take care of your health, little time will make it possible. This is what I would want to say. So please also watch out our episode on depression, which was done with Parth Adyaru. And then we had another episode between Parth Adyaru and Ritu Panda, where we had two health experts come together and talk about health, food and everything. Taking care of health does not mean to visit doctor every day. It's just to be active, to be positive, to keep on consistently taking care of your food, habits, everything together. Because being a healthy person will lead to be a successful person, and your ability to be healthy will reflect in your work. So let's conclude on this. And if you have any inspirational words or any guidance to the entrepreneurs, please give in for the startup especially.
Thank you. First of all, thank you again, Vishwam, for this podcast. I enjoyed interacting with you. You have been doing wonderful here. I would ask my startups, as entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, to do watch all the podcast which Vishwam has been doing. He's doing wonderful in this space. Having said that, one more thing, for startups, don't let your passion go. Because if your passion goes, your startup idea might also go. You will face struggle. There would be lots of stress. Entrepreneurship has been glorified a lot, which is not the case. Entrepreneurship is striving. It is a struggle, but once you pass through that test, you will achieve newer heights, and you would be at peace with yourself. So continue doing what best you can do, and I am wishing you, and here's wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much for joining with us and being patient, because it's just like running a podcast show is equally just running a startup, and it has been very motivating, because at one point of time, probably I would say here is I'd lost that charm, and losing out passion is something which is the last thing which a entrepreneur should do. Because the podcast, the hunger of meeting people, knowing people had rewarded is very rewarding in this podcasting. Because I remember I would have connected with you even much more before we knew each other. So I used LinkedIn, Rise, various things to be connected, and that's how it is. So making sure that you are passionate enough in your venture is one thing which will always drive you to be at your best. Thank you very much, and keep watching us, and we're looking forward to have you again and again. Thank you.